I gotta say, this is such a huge problem, and everyone's suffering with it. Now, from the get-go, I apologize for my attire because I'm wearing a construction jacket, but there's a reason for it. It is because I'm currently converting this motorhome, or rather renovating to a permanent home for some time, until me and my wife find a piece of land somewhere to live and be happy. And talking about happiness, I want to look into it a bit more in depth for this week's video. And I want to give a bit of a story about me to give you an idea of how improperly we're looking at this thing called happiness, the elusive substance of this life, the most elusive substance of this life. So most of my life, I've been always chasing something that's going to give me more happiness, always externalizing it. I was always trying to be the best freestyle wrestler as I could be. I always tried to be the best student as I could be. I always tried to make everyone happy by doing what I thought would make everyone happy. I tried to get into the best university that I could. I tried to study what I thought everybody would really be impressed by. I tried to be the coolest kid on the block by hanging out with all the people and making sure that all of them like me. I tried to be the best at my job. I tried to be the best accountant that I could be, the best accountancy student that I could be, the go-to person in the financial areas of the businesses where I worked. Then I started my own business and I wanted to be the best accountancy practice there was. And then I started practicing spirituality and mindfulness, and all of it changed because of one important thing. I realized that there is no happiness externally. See, what happens with all these external things? They create experiences, thoughts, and emotions. And our consciousness is extremely good at focusing its awareness on the things that take up the most attention. And what happens when your consciousness focuses its awareness onto things? It tends to slow them down. They start passing through you slower and slower and slower until they just become stationary and stuck. This phenomena is called clinging. To put it into perspective of what I mean, imagine fish trying to swim through just normal water, and then imagine fish trying to swim through solid ice. They will not be able to move. And that is exactly what happens with your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. What those solid objects in your mind become, what I just mentioned, thoughts, emotions, and experiences, when they get fully clinged onto, they become building blocks for your ego. It creates your psyche. And then you try and use those building blocks to protect yourself and find something that fits the structure that you've built, or expands it by building more blocks of clinginess, by externalizing the issue and trying to find a solution externally rather than looking internally. We become surprisingly good construction workers, and those building blocks that we make are extremely difficult to break. And the more you build of them, the better you stack them, the more difficult it is to break them and create the open space of stillness and being. Another reason why we build those blocks is because we're trying to avoid a situation from happening. We're either looking at our experience and thinking, based on what the situation is now, this is going to happen. So we're looking at the past for solutions, or we are looking at the future for what's going to happen. One thing you need to understand is that what is meant to happen will happen. Your life unfolds in a spiral, and if something misses you at any point, it will spiral around and get to you eventually. So what is meant to happen will happen. You cannot and you will not avoid that from happening. Knowing that, what is the point in striving to achieve happiness through external means if what happens is out of your control? All you have to do is simply be. Simply live life. By looking at the past, you're suffering and overthinking what has happened, which is completely irrelevant now, And by looking at the future, you're suffering something that has yet to happen or might not even happen. If you simply be, things will unfold as they are meant to unfold, and you will accept them within that moment, because that's how things are. That's how life is existing right now. If you understand the fact that things are meant to happen and they will happen as it has been destined for you, isn't there peace that comes with that knowing? Isn't the fact that you know that you can just simply exist and live life the true way of internalizing happiness? Isn't it the gold mine, the unending fountain of happiness? Nothing, and I mean nothing, would affect you at that point. You will be simply happy and content with what is unfolding in front of you. Look at animals, for example. All their basic needs are automated, and everything else, they're just simply being. Look at a cat, for example. A cat can loaf on the floor for hours and just be present and happy and content and still without doing anything. Isn't there so much for us to learn from simply looking at animals, at your pets, how they just can be and not do anything and just simply be? The problem is that we all feel like we need to do these things, these external things. We need to work, we need to work out, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do all these things to be able to fit into the expected norms of existence within this world that has been created by society. Once you understand that you just need to exist and be, because everything will unfold for you as it's meant to unfold, suddenly you switch from needing to do things to wanting to do things. By the way, if you want to know more about needing and wanting to do things and how it can change your life, I will link a video where I talked about it quite in depth, which is going to be on your right hand corner. So suddenly you want to go to work because work becomes kind of like a meditation for you. You want to work out because you know that nourishes your body, and your body is your temple. And if your body feels good, there's less negative aspects of life to deal with. Life becomes easier. Becoming more present and just being becomes easier. Wanting to do things will only happen if you slowly start to systematically move away from being a builder that keeps focusing their awareness on the emotions, thoughts, and experiences to build a safe space, a safe environment that is your ego, that's going to filter all of your upcoming and current life down through those safe spaces and spew out information that is skewed and not the actual life or reality. It is going to be made comfortable to you by your ego, by the thinking mind. So you need to realize that simply being is the only way to actually deconstruct that building and start to get that space, that open field of presence, stillness, awareness. That is how you will truly start moving away from needing to do things to wanting to do things. You will start being liberated. Now, I'm not saying that you should not do any things and you should not have a purpose. Those things are good because you have direction. And being directionless is not necessarily good, but once you are truly just being, directionless is also a state of presence. You don't have to have a direction to just be, right? But doing things is almost a necessity these days. You have to do things to be able to live in the society that has been constructed for us. And the purpose can come from having a deep sense of happiness within you. The happier I'm becoming, the more I'm realizing I want to be a healer and a guide for people, almost like a signpost of how people can achieve happiness and fulfillment in their life through mindfulness and spirituality. But doing to achieve a purpose or multiple purposes is and should be a form of meditation, a form of learning to be more present within the moment. Remember that we are not human doings, we're human beings. One thing that I want to say when it comes to doing things is oftentimes we do things even though they don't feel right. You can get this gut feeling within you that very, very clearly says and states to your inner being that this is not right and you should not be doing this or this should not be happening. What you want to do is listen to your so-called gut feeling, because the gut feeling comes from your subconscious, your deep self, your root of being. It comes from the all-knowing presence within you, and more than often, it is correct. Just think about it. How often does it happen that you're like, ooh, this does not feel right, but you still do it, and then you regret it? It creates negative emotions, and that negativity builds even more building blocks of your ego. Do what feels right. Do what your gut tells you, and be fully present in what you're doing. By doing things that you want to do, by doing things that feel right to you, if you listen to your gut feeling, you will get into a flow state. This flow state will open up your energy fields, your chakras, and you will be able to absorb that energy. It will feel like you almost have limitless energy. And it is a cycle that does not stop. You will be open to experience as opposed to just experiencing. Just experiencing will build more blocks to your ego, and it will become a bigger and stronger construct of closeness to what actually is life. If you go to a flow state and become open to experience as opposed to just experiencing, those experiences will not build blocks. Instead, they will build on the opportunity to become more present and enjoy the present moment. Please keep that in mind, because it is very, very important. And experiencing experiences in the right way will build the mindfulness and spirituality that you want to build. It will allow your consciousness to project its awareness onto the right things, onto a vast field of view as opposed to a very narrow, objective-based field of view. Now, I know I talk about these things a lot, and pretty much in every single video I talk about similar subjects that cover the same aspect of consciousness and awareness and spirituality. And that is okay, because I believe that it is my purpose to be a signpost and a guide, to show people what actual truth is, to spread the word of spirituality and mindfulness and being conscious, because it's life-changing. So many people think it's just mumbo jumbo, but until you actually try it and experience it, you won't know how crazy it is. Maybe somebody will mention it to you. I'm doing this because I've seen how incredible of a change it had on my father. I can see how massive of a change it's having on my wife, and it is extremely enticing and motivating to do it myself, to get better at it every single day, to achieve states of presence and awareness that I never thought were possible, to completely change my life by moving every single day closer to doing everything that I want to do as opposed to need to do. Life unfolds as it's supposed to unfold, and that is okay. And I am accepting everything with an open heart that gets filled more and more with love and happiness as time goes, because I'm fully committed and willing to accept life as is by being fully aware and conscious of it unfolding in the present moment. If what I talk about is something that resonates with you deeply, if you feel like you're stuck in this life of not ever being fully happy, always being tired, stressed, unfulfilled, if you feel like you've reached the end of possibilities of how to actually become happy and content with life by simply existing and simply being and not having to work your ass off like a maniac, I want to encourage you to have a look at the description of this video. There's a link at the very top of the video that will take you to a booking page to book a free one-to-one call with me, and we can have a chat, and I will give you some guidance and tips, and I'll present you with a space for at least an hour where you can be completely yourself, completely present, and start cultivating that sense of being true to yourself, being who you actually are meant to be. If it's not something for you, and if you want to be where you are, just keep living the normal, conventional life, doing the things that need to be done, that is fine. If that is your choice, that is completely okay. You don't have to choose something you don't want to do. After all I talked about is doing something that you want to do as opposed to need to do. So there's no pressure, but the link is there if you want to click on it. Otherwise, as always, I love you all. I appreciate you all. Every like, comment, and share, I really highly appreciate. It helps this channel grow. It helps me reach more people. And the more people I can reach, the bigger of an impact I can make to this world. And that means the absolute world to me. It is my life's calling. Thank you for watching the video. If you stayed all the way up until now, you are an absolute G. As always, I will speak to you next week. Peace and love and happiness to you all.